What is going on, everybody? Shri Kanase here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about not one, not two, but 10 psychological triggers that you can use for your e-commerce Shopify dropshipping store to make people want to purchase from you. Now, this video is actually going to include psychological factors that even your professor in your psychology class, if you've ever taken one, wouldn't teach you, because all of these things mentioned in this video I've personally applied before I put them in this slide, and I found success with them. So this is one video you're gonna want to stick till the end, because by the end of the video you're gonna know exactly how to implement these psychological triggers into your Shopify store to easily start making more sales. But without wasting any more time, let's just get right into it. So what are the 10 psychological triggers that you can use for your Shopify store right away starting from today? And these are basically triggers that make people buy. The first one is storytelling. Now, what do I mean exactly by storytelling? Well, let me tell you a little story myself to explain this factor about storytelling. My first winning product that I ever found was a simple product that had little to no value to people because it was kind of a novelty product. People didn't really need it. They just kind of wanted it. And what I did is, to emphasize their want, I made a little quick story about the product and how it can benefit the customer's life, add tons of happiness and prosperity into their life, and bam. The next day, I was getting $200 per day, and pretty soon I was at about $5,000 days. So just a little bit of storytelling, which didn't honestly take me more than an hour to come up with, gave me 6 figures of income. So again, any type of product that you have, it could be a simple product, a novelty product, an expensive product. Make sure to increase the perceived value of the product by creating a cool little story around that product. Now, I have tons of videos on my channel about copywriting, exactly how you can create good descriptions or ad copies. I'll include links to the videos in the description below. But basically, the job of your story will be to develop an image in the customer's mind. Your story should be able to make the customer visualize themselves enjoying your product, using it, giving it to somebody, etc. And if your story is able to do that, you have succeeded in writing a great story. And great stories sell. So again, make them visualize something. It can be anything, but as long as you put a nice image inside their head of them playing around with your product, using it, whatever, you're bound to make tons of money with Shopify. But the second thing is novelty, or making a product seem like a novelty product. Now, usually novelty products are just simple products. Again, people don't really need them, but the main reason why they sell is because they have a wow factor. It is something that will make a person stop in their tracks and say, wow, that is so cool. And when someone says that, they're already on their way to making a purchase from you, even if they don't really need that product. It is more of their want that is talking. So keeping that in mind, you want to address the people's want rather than the need when it comes to novelty products. Not every product is a novelty product, but those that are novelty products, emphasize the want. Ask yourself why that customer would want such a product. What would it do in their life? Again, it goes back to talking about a person's life and how the product can increase their happiness in their life or make it better or easier life or whatever it is. You want to emphasize on that. In addition to that, your entire funnel, meaning going from your Facebook ad to the product page, to clicking the add to cart button, to the cart page, to finally checking out, you need to have something in there that kind of stands out of the crowd. It could be a cool description or a very fancy website or a very fancy cart page or a really good ad copy. One of these factors needs to be there in order to really sell the novelty product and make it seem kind of unusual and like a wow product. Again, all of this can be easily accomplished if you just focus on the person's feelings and make them feel sort of a way. So as you start to see, a lot of these things can be used together, and I highly suggest you use these 10 psychological triggers together to boost your e-commerce sales. But the third one is comparison. Now, I want you to comment one thing down below. Engaging with the video is the best way you're going to learn. So comment down below how many times you've heard of one of your friends or your family members or your parents compare something in your house or somebody to someone else. The reality is people love comparing to each other. One neighbor may get a fancy TV and the other neighbor may start looking at their own TV as if it's an inferior product and start comparing their TV with their neighbors. And that is really common in the world we live in. You want to kind of take advantage of that and do the following. You want to just compare something inferior or a low cost item to your product. So people will kind of think of that other item that you're comparing as a low cost, kind of inferior product, something that they would really have no issues trading for your product. So when you successfully compare, people are naturally willing to give you money just because they want to feel good about themselves. They want to stand out of the crowd. They want to be better than their neighbors and their other people. Comparison is a great psychological trigger to really boost your sales. And you want to also kind of talk about the sense of their want or how their life is kind of incomplete without getting your product. So it is kind of like one person upgrading from one iPhone version to the next. The only big thing that they get is the screen size, but they're still more than willing to do it just because they want to kind of feel good and fit in with the other people and stand out of the crowd. So that is why you want to describe how your product is better. Even if it may not be better, just describe it and increase the perceived value of the product. And that is a great way to increase sales, simply by comparing your product to something else. Trigger number 4 is curiosity. Now, curiosity is a big factor in making people take action. A lot of people are usually curious about a lot of things, and that curiosity makes people want to take action. So keeping that in mind, you want to describe your product as something interesting with some special powers and kind of run the customer's mind full of curiosity. One great Shopify store which does this really well is the Buddha Power Store. Now, the Buddha Power Store sells simple bracelets from AliExpress on their store, but one thing that they do is that they give some charismatic, positive characteristics to their bracelets and talk about how Buddha would have actually agreed with wearing such bracelets and how it can make all of the bad energy go away. So all of these things kind of introduces the curiosity factor inside a customer's head and really makes them want to just go ahead and throw the money in to see what is all the hype about. In a sense, you're kind of making your item or product come to life because you're giving all of these characteristics to your product. So again, curiosity, the number 4 trigger, but one of the highly effective triggers to make people purchase from you. Moving on to number 5, and that is social proof. It's kind of self-explanatory, but you want to have tons of customer reviews on your product page and have actual photos of people using the product, or just photos in general, because just having text is not enough for people to kind of trust your website and the reviews. Best of all, if you just take a screenshot of all of the reviews on your Shopify store and paste it as one of the comments on your Facebook ad post, your cost per purchases will actually decrease and more people will start purchasing from you because you have a customer review right on the product ad. And that is one great thing to do when it comes to social proof. But other than that, definitely have more reviews on the product page as well, so people can kind of read other people's experiences and decide whether they want to join with the experience or not. But number 6 is making the customer feel important. Now, this is kind of one of the basic needs of a human being. Everybody in the world just wants to feel important and feel like they matter in the world. You may be trying to achieve success with Shopify because you want to have tons of money and actually have some value in the world. Or it could be for another reason. But keeping this in mind, you want to kind of make your product seem kind of like a luxury item. And some examples of luxury items that make their users feel really, really important is special luxury car. For example, Ferrari, Bentley, Lambo. These cars do the same job as a Toyota or a Honda would do, but they're making their customers feel luxurious, as if they're above the crowd and they're superior to everybody else. But in reality, we know that all of these cars get a person from point A to point B. But people still buy such cars and spend thousands and thousands of dollars just because they want to feel luxurious and they want to feel important in front of everybody else. So keeping this in mind, again, show how your product can make the customer stand out of the crowd and be a little bit more important than everybody else. And this would kind of give the sense that everybody else besides your customer is inferior to them just because they're using your product. And while that may not sound that nice, it is actually one great psychological trigger to make someone buy from you over and over again. So give your whole store and your products a feeling of luxury and people will automatically start buying from you. Again, this can be done through copywriting. Do watch the videos in the description. But moving on to number 7, and that is scarcity. A lot of people use scarcity nowadays, but little do they know that they're not using scarcity effectively. So exactly how do you use scarcity effectively? You can effectively use scarcity by saying things like only X amount of these special edition items available, or sale for the next 24 hours, or the sale for the next 12 hours. Or it could maybe be the coupon ends at 11:59 p.m. today. A lot of people just say sale for the next 72 hours or the sale for the next 5 days, and they just leave the sale running for an infinite time. That is a horrible way to kind of add scarcity because it is not real scarcity. You always want to be truthful and real with your customers. And one really good way to be real and actually get more purchases is if you limit the amount of time your sale runs or the amount of items that are left in stock. So instead of running that sale for 72 hours or 48 hours, maybe run that sale for the next 5 hours only, or maybe 12 hours, maximum 24 hours. And this is the same for coupons. When you decrease the time of the coupon or the sale, you're increasing a person's curiosity and making them want to purchase from you really quickly. So definitely be using scarcity along with the other factors. But moving on to number 8, and that is invoking fear. Now, there are some con artists in the world that use fear negatively and make money in a bad way, but that is not what I'm trying to say in this slide. Instead of being negative and scamming people, be truthful, but include a fear in that truth. So that could be talking about fear of losing somebody, meaning a special lover or a special friend or your partner or your family member or your parents, etc. When you introduce this kind of fear through words in your ad copy or your description, people start to directly think that they need to purchase this product, otherwise they could have the possibility of risking something big, and they don't want to risk anything from their life, so they will purchase from you. Some other great fears are fear of being left out or not fitting in, basically not fitting into the hype or not staying up with the hype. And the third one is fear of not living life to the fullest. This is the biggest one and makes people really move and take action. It is not really that hard to include these fears in your description or your ad copy. Again, it is a matter of using the correct words, how a person could risk losing something if they don't take your product or purchase it or use it. So definitely invoke fear. But moving on to number 9, and that is credentials. Now, when I say credentials, what I'm saying is that you should refer to some big authority in your niche. For example, if you're trying to sell a healthcare product in the health and beauty niche, you could say that the product is recommended by a special doctor. In this case, we're just taking, for example, me, recommended by Dr. Shri Kanase. Of course, it should be a real doctor and you should be honest about it. Don't just throw up some random name, but it has to be some special authority figure in your niche. Basically, someone who's at the very top of what you want to sell. Let's say, for example, you're trying to sell a basketball sweater. If you say that that sweater is recommended by the only LeBron James, people will of course be willing to buy that sweater because it is of course recommended by LeBron James. I mean, who wouldn't want to buy that sweater? And if it is actually truthful and your description or ad copy actually has a photo of LeBron James rocking that sweater, your sales are gonna go through the roof. So again, using credentials, using big authority figures is a great psychological trigger to make people buy. And moving on to our 10th and final trigger, and that is using honesty. Now, how can you exactly use honesty about your product? Can you directly tell the customer that, hey, you're a dropshipper, dropshipping, buying Chinese products from AliExpress and you're just a middleman? Of course not, because then you would have no business. What you should be fully honest about is the faults or cons of the product. Don't think that just talking about the bad side of the product or who it isn't applicable for will make you lose sales, because that is not true. People love honesty and you're just going to increase your sales. In addition to that, you should have some 3-star or even 2-star reviews in the best-selling product at least. Just recently, for my main winning product on my Google Ad Store, and if you don't know what Google Ad Store I'm referring to, click the link on the top right above my head, which is a full case study on that store. But I recently added a 3-star review on that product and identified some faults about the product. And the next day, instead of having the conversion rate lower, it actually increased by a whole percent, and it was consistent for the next few days. So having bad reviews actually makes customers think that this is a real site and not just some fake site having all 5-star reviews. And that will definitely increase your sales and conversion rates. But in addition to that, you want to have a descriptive description describing every issue that can happen with the use of your product, meaning all the things that can go wrong, how it can hurt the customer or somebody else, etc. So being fully honest, again, is only going to benefit you, and you should always be honest about every aspect for your business. But those were the top 10 psychological triggers that you should definitely be using for your own Shopify dropshipping stores to not only increase your sales, but also take it to the next level. But if you found any type of value in this video, don't forget to smash that like button down below to please the YouTube gods, and subscribe and press that bell notification icon so you get a notification from me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I'll see you guys next time.